Afternoon. I want to welcome you to the Superintendent President Forum. I'm Trenda Best, the Vice President of Human Resources here at Southwestern College, for those of you that don't know, and I will be serving as the moderator today. Let me start out by introducing our first finalist, Dr. Angelica Suarez. Want to wave? Dr. Suarez has served as the Vice President of Student Affairs at Southwestern College since 2009. She has focused on increasing student success, access, and oversaw the intentional realignment of support services to provide just-in-time support inside and outside the classroom. Such initiatives have included the first-year experience program, new learning communities, and the Student Veterans Resource Center. At Southwestern College, she has served as Acting Superintendent President, Acting Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dean for Higher Education Centers in Otay Mesa and San Ysidro, and Academic Dean at Wright College, part of the City Colleges of Chicago. Now I want to talk a little bit about our process today. Dr. Suarez will be the first finalist participating in the forum, and I just want to take a few minutes to let you know how this process is going to work. This is a question and answer forum. Each finalist will be provided 50 minutes to answer all the questions that are asked. Each finalist will be asked the same opening question and will be given 5 minutes to respond. Vice President Flood will be our timekeeper for today. The next part is the audience participation. Dr. Flood's back, Tim Flood's back there. Wave your hand, Tim. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. The next part is going to be the best part and the fun part. Audience will be asked to participate. As you know, there was a notice that was put out asking for questions that individuals would like to ask for today. Those questions have all been collected and reviewed for common themes and to ensure that they meet our EEO guidelines. Those questions have been deposited into our receptacle. It's a clear container. Very good, thank you, Sylvia. And as we progress, someone will be asked in the audience to pull a question out for the candidate to answer. Okay, let's see. Also, about 5 minutes before the end of each session, our timekeeper will let us know that because all of the candidates will be given a final question in the form of their closing statement that they can make. So with that, if you're ready, I introduce Dr. Angelica Suarez.
So I'm not going to speak from up here. I'm going to come down here.
Okay, that's fine.
Already breaking the rules, not good. Okay, that was the audience participation portion of the program today. So first of all, I am absolutely thrilled to be here as a finalist for the Superintendent President position at Southwestern College. This is a college that I have been with for the past 17 years. So I want to tell you this afternoon why I believe that I am uniquely qualified to serve as your Superintendent President. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about basically my broad experience at the statewide level, the regional level, a little bit about my work at Southwestern, and then my personal connection to why this is such an important position. Is this too loud? I think I'm too close to you, Trenda.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, in terms of my statewide leadership, I provided leadership at the statewide level for the past, I've been working in community colleges for the past 25 years. And 20 of those years have been in the California community colleges. Now, we love our system, but 113 colleges, 72 districts, we're a bit complex. But that's the beauty of the system. I've worked with the Chancellor's Office to help implement and shape legislation that focus on supporting our students and student success. So I have that experience. I understand our regulations, codes, and how all of that applies on a practical level here at Southwestern College. I also have worked in different kinds of systems. I've worked for the LA Community College system. It's a 9-college system. I've also worked for the City Colleges of Chicago, a 7-college district. So I also understand the interesting components and the dynamics of working in multi-college district. But most importantly, I have worked in a large single college district, 20,000 students, serving 10 communities and a border community, and that's Southwestern College. That is an amazing experience as well. I like the audience participation. Good. So that's broad experience. I've also worked at the regional level, working with San Diego and Imperial counties, all of our colleges, the different colleges, to really look at how we can impact the region in terms of student success as a region here in San Diego. I've also experienced a community college from a number of different perspectives. I've been a classified employee. I've been a faculty member, inside and outside of the classroom. I've been an instructional dean, and you heard the rest from Trinda, acting vice president, acting superintendent. So I've had those experiences as well. But why Southwestern? I'll tell you why Southwestern. I have been here for the past 17 years, working along many of you in this room through challenges and creating the great college that we have. I have developed a very deep and wealth and comprehensive and firm understanding of our college, our policies, our procedures, our departments, our divisions, and I understand how important it is to move this college forward and what our opportunities are. So I've had that opportunity of working here at the college. But I think more importantly is the relationships that I've built with many of you. I know that there's pros and cons to being the internal candidate, but I think this is certainly a pro. Knowing Southwestern College, I love this place. I believe in the college. And I know you want to get to the audience participation and getting into the questions, but I also want to tell you, I think it's important that I tell you a little bit about my personal connection to the community colleges. Had it not been for a community college, very much like Southwestern, I would not be standing here before you as a finalist for superintendent president. I went to East LA College, and I went to East LA College. It was not by design, it was by accident. You know, my family and my background, I'm one of 6 kids. I'm the eldest. And I came to this country when I was 3 years old. My parents brought me here when I was 3 years old from Mexico, so I'm an immigrant. There's no history of higher education in my family. My parents both have a 3rd grade education, so I am a first-generation college student. English is not my first language. You may be able to tell a little later in the program, but English is not my first language. So I can identify with the students that we serve and the population that we serve and the community that we serve here in South San Diego County. I know the value and the transformational change that community colleges make in the lives of people, of families and communities, because otherwise I would not be standing here as a true testament of what we do every day. So that's why I'm applying for this position, and I'm very, very thrilled to be a finalist for the superintendent president. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suarez. We're going to go on to our first question that was drawn from our pool of questions. In today's political climate of exclusion, what can we expect from your leadership to lead a diverse community?
So we know the conversations that have been taking place around the country of late. We need to harness our strength and our courage to make sure that we come together and continue to engage in those courageous conversations having to do with immigration, having to do with diversity, gay rights, a number of different difficult issues. We cannot allow this to push us into our respective corners. We have to stand united against any sense of discrimination and racism. I know that if I am selected as your next superintendent president, one of the things that I believe that we need to do is ensure that we provide opportunities for all of us to engage in dialogue, but not only engage, to make sure that we have the tools to engage in civil discourse. It's scary, absolutely, to engage in those conversations. But if we don't have the opportunity to come together and get to know each other on a personal level, that conversation becomes even more complicated. We need to stand united because we're all in this together. And Southwestern College has been a model of that, of creating inclusive environments. Our students have been leaders in that. Our faculty have been leaders in that. Our staff and administrators. Last night, we had in this very room, actually in this very space, we had an event with our students, and it was called Meeting the People Behind the Badge, and helping our students engage with police in a different way, getting to know them as individuals, understanding that we have more in common than not. When we engage in those conversations and get to know each other on a personal level, get to understand where our philosophies are, it's easier, and it's easier because you have a safe space to discuss those difficult questions. But we have to provide that. That does not happen. That does not happen by mistake. That has to be intentional. So my commitment to you is to make sure that we provide the opportunity for those conversations, to reaffirm the college's policies on diversity, that we reaffirm the college's commitment to an inclusive environment through the practices and the actions that we take every day.
Thank you. Our next question. Southwestern College has long been host to regional economic development programs, the Small Business Development Center Regional Network, the San Diego Contracting Opportunity Center, and the Center for International Trade Development. These programs provide free assistance to thousands of San Diego area small businesses each year. The services provided by these programs generate great economic impact, helping these local small businesses start, increase their revenue, create jobs, expand globally, and access capital by $75 to $100 million annually. What are your ideas and/or views on how the college can support and grow these programs?
Wow, that was a really long question.
It was.
I wonder who asked that. So I think that it is absolutely essential that we support those programs. You know, we're very, very fortunate that this community has demonstrated their commitment and their trust to Southwestern College by passing Proposition Z. We have $400 million that we need to utilize correctly. I think working with the Small Business Development Center, the Center for International Trade Development, Center for Contracting Opportunities, we can leverage those relationships and make sure that there's opportunity for our local community to know how to potentially bid for some of these projects. But not only that, this is also an opportunity for us to connect with our CTE programs. How do we connect our CTE programs with business and industry? How do we provide students with opportunities to have internships, cooperative work experience? Again, I think that it is important where we are located. The fact that Southwestern College hosts the San Diego Business Development Center is absolutely something to be very proud of, and I am committed to making sure that we build upon that because there is great potential to continue to be a driver, an economic driver in South San Diego County and the region.
Okay, our next question. Given our proximity to the border, what is your vision for Southwestern Community College as we lead a proactive binational partnership of academic opportunities, UTT, and CETTYs?
So it's UTT and CETIS, yes. So that's okay. Absolutely, I have a strong commitment to doing that. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, I have experience working in this region for the past 17 years. It's not just the San Diego and Imperial counties, but it's also a cross-border region. So we've done some really exciting things in working with Universidad Tecnológica de Tijuana, UTT, in logistics and transportation. And again, providing students with opportunities for internships, and also to be able to get dual degrees. We're still working with our faculty and all of that. But I think that, again, there's great opportunity for us to engage in those partnerships. We do have a memorandum of understanding with CETIS, a university across the border. Again, there are opportunities for us to develop curriculum where our students are provided with options. When we think about transfer, when we think about creating global citizens, we must have those relationships, and we must forge those relationships. I have much experience working with the Mexican consulate in San Diego, again, creating and opening doors to creating those opportunities across the border, also working with the U.S. consulate in Tijuana, and again, building upon the relationships that we have. Southwestern College's location, unique location along the U.S.-Mexico border through our centers, is really important, and we need to leverage that. And I'm committed to doing that, and I've done that in some of the examples I've shared with you with UTT and CETIS.
Thank you, Dr. Suarez. Our next question. San Diego State University and UCSD are not and have not been responding to the San Diego taxpayers as campuses who intentionally work to serve local area students. This is demonstrated with escalating grade point average requirements and with UCSD no longer offering a transfer agreement guarantee. Do you believe that the local universities need to prioritize local area service, one? And tell us about your experience in working with local area universities on prioritizing access for local area transfer students. How would you work with SDSU and UCSD in favor of serving our students?
Okay, let's see, okay. First part of that question, no, actually, this is part of the work that I've been doing, again, as your Vice President for Student Affairs. Southwestern College has been a leader in forging those relationships with UCSD and SDSU. I understand, and I've seen that journey that we've gone through in terms of the elimination of the tag or the transfer agreement guarantee. But it also means that it provides us with an opportunity to develop those relationships and to find other options for our students to transfer. As a matter of fact, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, the day before. We had a meeting, we are meeting regularly with UCSD to look at other pathways for our students to make sure that they get to UCSD. And then once they get to UCSD, that they don't encounter a chilly climate, that they encounter an environment where they're going to be successful. So not just about getting the numbers and getting the diversity at UCSD, but also making sure that they are provided with a welcoming environment. And I know that their Vice Chancellor for Student Services is very much committed to doing that. And I will tell you, and I know that this is being filmed, but I'm gonna say it anyway, they are coming to meet with us here at Southwestern College. That's not happening elsewhere. And that's because Southwestern has been very courageous, has been very brave, and we've taken the lead at asking the tough questions about what is going to happen with our students and where are they going to go if UCSD and SDSU don't provide access. They've been very receptive, and now we're looking at, okay, what do the numbers look like? Because we can talk about the commitment, but until we see the numbers of our students transferring to UCSD and SDSU increase, then that's all that is. So yesterday, again, this week, when we looked at the numbers of students who transferred to UCSD, they have increased. They have increased, and they're not significant yet, but they are moving in the right direction. Now the question is, of the students who transfer to UCSD, are those students succeeding in graduating and achieving their goals? And that's what we're going to be working on. For SDSU, Southwestern College is again a leader in transferring students to SDSU through the Associate Degree for Transfer. We had the highest number of students who transferred to SDSU with the Associate Degree for Transfer. And that's because of the outstanding work of our counseling faculty, our articulation officer, our faculty in the classroom who developed them, our classified staff who helped evaluate them and get them transferred. That's monumental, and we were recognized for that. But we need to continue to stay at the forefront, because although our students, we need to provide them with options for transfer, not just to SDSU and UCSD. Those are the realities for many of our students, is that they are place-bound. They have family responsibilities. They have work responsibilities. So we want to make sure that they have access to their local universities. And I, for one, have continued to work very closely with San Diego State as well as UCSD, and they're very receptive to the relationship because of the strong relationship that I have forged with them and our college has forged with them.
Thank you, Dr. Suarez. What experience do you have in working in a diverse and inclusive college? And can you provide examples of programs/initiatives that you have led or created?
So, just working at Southwestern College, right? Okay, no laughing in the mic. So, as I mentioned to you earlier, not only do I have a personal connection with having a shared experience with many of our students. Again, first-generation college student, an immigrant, English is my second language, no history of higher education. So I'm able to connect with students at that level as well. However, Southwestern College certainly has a very diverse environment. But one of the key things to keep in mind is that regardless of the majority population, student population at Southwestern and in our community is the Latino population. But we also have a large population of African American students and Filipino students. We have our LGBTQ community. We have our students' abilities and disabilities. We need to make sure that we create safe spaces for students on campus. We need to make sure that we have places of connection through programs and services. And we've done that. We've done that here at Southwestern. We're very proud of how we have scaled and we have increased the different venues that students can connect. We have, actually just recently, we're looking at something that's just in the works in terms of innovation, creating a program that supports our Latino and African American males, because we know that African American and Latino males are not succeeding at the same rate as females. So we're looking at ensuring that we have those pathways. But we also have a number of learning communities that, again, engage students and keep them connected. And those are our Puente program that has been here for many years, our Bayan program, TILA program, and we also have engagement through our Associated Student Organization with approximately 60 clubs. So the main thing is ensuring that our students have places of connection and also ensuring that they know that they belong here at the college. Other experiences that I've had is I've also worked for the LA Community College District. LA, diverse. I've worked at East Los Angeles College as a classified employee. And again, so that gives me that perspective of working in a large college district. Chicago, majority population in the colleges we work there is African American. Again, some of the needs of our African American students. So I have experience in different states, different systems, but also I share some of those experiences with our students, so have much experience in that area.
How about now? Okay. This is a shorter question. What is your definition of collegial consultation, and how would you ensure it is provided?
Great question. So collegial consultation. So I'm very clear, not only from a theoretical perspective of what AB 1725 is, but also from the application. AB 1725 talks about shared consultation, collegial consultation, making sure that you create environments and practices and policies that are inclusive of the various voices on the campus, our classified employees, our students, our faculty, our administrators. And direct examples that I can give you in terms of how you create those environments. In 2009, when our college faced some accreditation challenges, one of the things that I did is worked with our faculty and our staff and administrators to reestablish our shared governance structure, because a trust in the morale at an institution can be defined and can be measured by the strength of your shared governance process. And so we were able to reestablish our shared consultation process, which is we now call our SCC, or Shared Consultation Council. But it's not only having policies and procedures that codify the role and the scope of the different constituency groups at the college, it's also practicing it. It's practicing it every day when you're meeting, when you're talking, when you're in meetings, to ensure that everybody's voice is heard at the table. That even if the final decision is not to the liking of everyone, that they know that their voice was heard, that they were engaged in the process. And at Southwestern College, we have to make sure that we continue to review and reaffirm our commitment to collegial consultation. We have, and people laugh, I, have this in my mind, but that's because it's very dear and near to my heart. 2510, policy, 2510, that's our shared planning and decision making. It identifies the role and scope of every single group on this campus in the shared consultation process. 2515, the role and scope of the academic senate in the shared consultation process. We have a handbook that identifies all of our shared consultation committees with everybody's role in that process. So we are committed to that. I am committed to that, and I'm committed to establishing and reaffirming our environment that supports a shared consultation process, because it's essential to the success at the institution and also essential to ensuring that we maintain and that we create a trusting environment on this campus where people are heard, where they are included, and where their opinion matters and is valued.
Dr. Suarez, next question. What are your 3 topic priorities or changes for improving the quality and rigor of teaching and learning at Southwestern College? Please be specific and explain your reasoning for your priorities or changes.
Can you give me the first part of that question again?
Sure. What are your 3 topic priorities or changes for improving the quality and rigor of teaching and learning at Southwestern College?
Okay. So first of all, I think one of the policies I mentioned to you was 2515, which is a scope and role of the academic senate and the role of faculty inside of the classroom in improving learning. But we know that teaching and learning happens not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. My commitment is making sure that it's simple. Not only that we focus on the students coming in and increasing the access of students coming to Southwestern, but that we provide the students with a clear pathway from the minute they come in to achieving their educational goal. And that means that we need to look at sustaining the support structures that students have to allow them to travel, to allow them to complete their journey, their educational journey. That's definitely a priority. It's what are the support services and the instructions students need coming into the campus, going through their educational program, and also making sure that they are moving forward and transferring to the university or to the workforce. The priorities in terms of improving the teaching and learning will be shared priorities. One of the things that when we look at Southwestern and we look at our completion rates and our student success rates and basic skills, those are definitely priorities. They're national priorities, but they're also my priorities here at Southwestern, and they're also part of our strategic priorities. Ensuring that we increase the number of students coming in that are prepared for college, and also increasing the number of students that graduate from Southwestern and achieve their goals. focusing around basic skills and ensuring that that is certainly strengthened, and that faculty and staff have the support and the tools that they need to increase student success inside and outside of the classroom. So that is definitely a priority.
You need some water. We have about 15 minutes left, and there is some on the side of the stage if you're...
That's fine.
I know. Are you okay? Okay. Okay.
I know there were about 50.
So the next question. The president-elect's agenda implicates our campus and our students because of his or her current stand on immigration. The incidents of violence, the threat of deportation, and what is already visible with unrest amongst people as a whole could potentially escalate. This is a kind of an extension of the first question about our political climate. So if there's anything you'd like to add or expound on in connection with this.
Sure. So I think this national conversation really hits home here at Southwestern College. We have, being that we are also a cross-border region, it's very important for our students to have a safe space on this campus. And what we've done, and we've been the leaders in this area, is ensuring that our students have all of the information that they need in terms of knowing their rights, again, in relation to immigration, but also to make sure that we engage, as a president superintendent, if I am fortunate enough to be selected, is engaging with our local legislators, with our local community, with our local colleges and universities to make sure that we have a unified front supporting our students. I know that just recently the president of the University of California, the president of the CSU, and the California Community College's chancellor have written a joint letter to President-elect Trump asking that he does not impact our DACA students, deferred early childhood arrivals. Those are the kinds of actions that we need to take. We need to stay, not only do we need to become educated and make sure that our students are educated, but we also have to take action. And our students have demonstrated that as well here at the college by having a number of different events to provide that kind of education and information. But again, remaining vigilant and also becoming engaged and leading efforts, not only in our region, but in our state, in our country, that support and protect our students. At our last governing board meeting, I know that this is something that's also very dear and near to their heart. They passed a resolution protecting and preserving protecting the rights of immigrant students on our campus. And one of the things that they have asked is that we look at what does it take and what is the impact of Southwestern College becoming a sanctuary campus. I know that the CSU system is also looking at that. But it's working closely with our college police department, working closely to find out what is the impact of becoming a sanctuary campus, but also making sure that our students coming to Southwestern College feel safe, feel included, and feel that they can come to any one of us to share any concern that they may have. So that would be something that I would add to that question.
Yes. That is for you. So I'll speak very slowly. Please share with us how you use insightfulness as well as data in your decision-making strategies, as well as within your interpersonal interactions.
As well as what, I'm sorry?
As well as within your interpersonal interactions.
Sure. So one of the things that I believe is that we need to make sure that we provide everyone the tools that they need to be able to do their job effectively, whether you're a classified employee, an administrator, a faculty member, and that means that we provide relevant data, not tons and tons and reams of data that really are not they're not user-friendly, making sure that they have the data that they need to make the informed decisions that they need to make, but really using data as a flashlight and not as a hammer. Making sure that we provide spaces for faculty members to come together and look at that, whether it's data about student success, whether it's data about the budget, whether it's data that helps us with our learning outcomes, whether it's data about how our programs are succeeding or not succeeding. I think we all have, we think about certain programs and certain services and say, you know what, that program's not doing very well, that program may need to be improved, but what does the data say? And not only looking at quantitative data, the numbers, looking at qualitative data. What are our students saying? We just had a conversation about, we're going to have a Men of Color Student Success Conference in April. Put it on your calendar. In March. And one of the things we talked about is what is going to be the theme of this conference? Because we want to make sure that our students feel connected. And somebody asked, you know what, let's look at the data. And that's absolutely essential, that we make decisions that are based on data, not just on feeling, because that is ultimately what's going to help us move our student success agenda forward. So again, providing opportunities for people to have the data that they need in a way that they can read it and that it's relevant to the decision being made. I'm a strong proponent to ensuring we do that.
Thank you. Our next question.
Yes, that was the end.
Please share a time when an incident occurred on your campus regarding an ism, racism, sexism, classism, etc. How did you handle the situation, and what actions did you take to ensure it would not reoccur? How did you support those who were targeted in the situation?
I can hear you, Barry. So, this is it's a very important question, and I can certainly think back not too far to an example that we experienced in the spring semester, where we came together to have a conversation, and we did not have the tools to engage in the right conversation, in an appropriate conversation. And things were said, they were inappropriate, and people were hurt, and our college was impacted. And that was very difficult. But this is what I did after that incident, is I brought people together, the people that were involved, to make sure that we clarified the record, that we corrected the information, that we talked about what are the things that we need to do so this does not happen again. Treating people equitably, treating people fairly, and ensuring that if difficult conversations need to happen, that we have the right tools and the right venues to be able to engage in those conversations. Southwestern College is very clear and we stand unequivocally against any form of racism, sexism, any kind of harassment. And we have policies to that effect. But we need to make sure that we're also training people and ensuring that that they know how to bring some of these concerns forward and how to engage in civil dialogue. It's hard. And this is going to be, this conversation needs to happen more often on the campus, because especially given the events that we've all experienced lately in our country. Southwestern College has done much in this area, and we still have a long way to go, but we're making progress. We've had, subsequent to that incident in the spring semester, we've had training by the National Council of Conflict Resolution, I think I have that right, to train staff on the art of inclusive communication. We've brought in renowned national facilitators that help us learn how to speak to each other civilly around difficult topics. And we've had many of those trainings, but we need to continue to increase those opportunities for people to engage and to know how to talk about race, across race, ethnicity, immigration. So we will be having more of those trainings coming in the spring semester. But I think at the end of the day, certainly standing firmly against any kind of racism, but at the same time, creating an opportunity for people to develop relationships, to get to know each other on a personal level. And I don't mean that inappropriately, of course. I mean getting to know people, who they are, where they come from, and realizing at the end of the day that we do have more in common than not, and that we're all in this together.
Dr. Suarez, I just want to let you know we're down to 5 minutes before we do our closing. I have probably one more question we can get to, okay? What experience do you have with ACCJC sanctions, and how did you address them?
We have 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
So I have extensive experience with accreditation. And I have experience at the statewide level, and I also have experience at the local level. At the statewide level, I have experience working with the commission to help redesign the training that accreditation teams undergo when they go visit colleges. And I think that that's very important, because making sure that the teams that come to visit colleges have the tools that they need and have the information that they need and the focus that they need to have working with institutions to help them become better institutions. So I've been very fortunate in working with the commission to help redesign that training. Also, I've served on a couple visiting teams to other colleges as an accreditation evaluator. And I'll tell you, that's important not only because I'm able to share some of my leadership and experience around student affairs, but also because I get to, it's almost like a secret shopper, right? I get to see what other colleges are doing, what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, what systems they have in place that we can apply to Southwestern College. So being on the other side as an accreditation evaluator, going to other colleges and visiting them has also been very valuable. As it relates to Southwestern, experience that I have addressing deficiencies. In 2009, our college faced some pretty serious accreditation recommendations and areas of improvement. And I, as the I was going to say the senior vice president at the time, but that was the case. I was the liaison from the cabinet level, working with the Senate to address recommendations around reestablishing our shared governance structure, reestablishing an integrated planning process, and helping to improve our campus morale. So I have that experience. More recently, to 2015, we're also facing recommendations from the Accreditation Commission. And although student affairs, we met the standards, we were commended for the good work that we're doing in student affairs, I'm also working to make sure that as an institution, on an institutional level, that we address our 15 recommendations, and that not only that we address them, but that we're not always in this reactive mode of accreditation is coming, let's clean our house. No, make sure that we develop sustainable environments and structures so that we're addressing, so that the solutions that we're identifying for the various recommendations are sustainable, and that we don't have to think about this in terms of just responding, but making sure that this is deeply and richly embedded into the campus culture in our own system. So I have that experience as well. So that is my experience with accreditation.
Thank you for that. We are down to the last and final question, for which you will have 5 minutes to respond to. Is there anything you would like to share about yourself that we haven't learned from this forum or those from the interviews recently conducted?
So I'll tell you, today I've spent the morning meeting with all of the various constituency groups, and it's been very exciting because I know the people that I'm working with. I've worked with you, alongside you, on many of our challenges and our opportunities. I've shared with you my statewide experience working with the Chancellor's Office, understanding the California Community College system. I've shared with you my regional experience and what I bring to the table. But most importantly, I've shared with you my experience here at Southwestern College. The fact that I have worked with you for 17 years in a number of different positions, understanding the college from all perspectives. I understand our college in terms of facilities, technology, academic affairs, student affairs, of course. So I know the college from the different perspectives, but not only that, I know our college policies, customs, traditions, culture, because I've been part of that. So I believe in this college. I love this college. I love our students. And so just being here today is really about, everything I have done has prepared me to be with you today as a finalist for the superintendent president, because I believe in the power of the community college and the work that we do every day. And I'd like to have the opportunity to do this with you as we move and we write the next chapter for this great college, Southwestern College. Thank you. I'm putting it up here.
Thank you, Dr. Suarez. That concludes our forum with you for today. We thank you for coming in and spending your time with us. And we're going to conclude our forum right now. I want to remind folks that there were blue handouts in the back with Dr. Suarez's bio on it. You can complete all the questions on it and submit that. It's also available online at the website that's on the back of the form as well, if you care to do it that way. So I just want to thank you all for coming. Have a good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. We want to welcome you to our Superintendent-President Forum. This is our second forum for today. I'm Trinda Best, the Vice President of Human Resources, and I will be serving as the moderator this afternoon. I'd like to introduce Dr. Reagan Romali. Just wave. Dr. Romali has served as president of Harry S. Truman College, part of the City Colleges of Chicago, since 2011. Dr. Romali's focus has been on increasing student graduation and transfer rates and increasing retention. She has also focused on increasing the rate of transition for students in ESL, Adult Basic Ed, and GED to credit programs. She has served as Vice President of Business Services at Moreno Valley College and Vice President of Administrative Services at Los Angeles City College. She also oversaw the launch of 2 community college campuses in Qatar for Houston Community College District. Dr. Romali is the second finalist in our forum today, and I just want to kind of go over our process that we're engaging in today. So this is a question and answer forum. Someone asked earlier about comments. We encourage you to submit your comments on the forms in the back. You will find a handout that has Dr. Romali's bio on it and a place to do an evaluation on the back. So please include your comments there and submit them with your forms. So each candidate will be provided 50 minutes in which to answer all the questions that we can ask. Each finalist will be asked the same opening question and will be given 5 minutes to respond. Vice President Flood, where are you? Vice President Flood will serve as our timekeeper to keep us on track. The audience will participate in this forum in a random selection drawing of questions. Notice was sent out to the campus informing the community if they would like to ask a question to please submit that in writing. We received a total of, I think it was 52 questions, and they were received and reviewed for common themes and to ensure compliance with our EEO guidelines. In addition, individuals that are coming into the forum today have the opportunity to write out a question that that could potentially be asked and have it deposited in the receptacle where VP Flood is standing. All finalists were provided questions, maybe not. Okay, just prior to the forum. At about 5 minutes before the end of the session, our timekeeper will notify us, so the candidate will be asked the same closing question, and it will be their closing statement, and they will have 5 minutes in which to do so. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Reagan Romali.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Good, good. Thanks for calling me Dr. Romali, but I'm just Reagan, so please call me Reagan. It's so great to be here today. For those of you who do not know, I started my career at Southwestern College as an adjunct. I taught basic bookkeeping, and to let you know how old I am, it was back in the days when there were transparencies. Do you guys remember those days? It was back in the days with transparencies. And so I taught here. I was hired by Dr. Tony Thiele, and he gave me a wonderful chance. And of course, I always remembered, most importantly about Southwestern, the students. And those of you who work with the students here, you know how fabulous the Southwestern students are. So what interested me in this job was an opportunity to come home and lead the college that I had dared one time 20 years ago to lead. And I'm currently serving as the president of Harry S. Truman College in Chicago. We are one of the city colleges of Chicago there are 7 of us. I have about 20 to 22,000 students and over 1,000 employees in a very urban part of Chicago. We also are the most diverse. We are a Hispanic serving institution, and we have the largest non-credit population, an ESL population, primarily Spanish speaking in the state, or in the system. I also have the largest Muslim population, salam alaikum, and I also have the largest population of students who come from the continent of Africa. So we have a wide variety of folks at Truman College that I just really love. When I first got to Truman, and Truman is a wonderful, wonderful place to work. I feel like I work with the most amazing people ever. We had wonderful people, but the results, the student success results, weren't there. Truman was ranked one of the bottom in the state in terms of the success of its students, but yet had wonderful faculty and staff. We have worked together over the last 6 years to bring the graduation rate from 5% when I started to 20% now. So we've quadrupled it. We've also brought that has also brought us to #1 in the nation in our IPEDS cohort group in terms of improvement of degrees. We've also been either, I think, #2 or #3 in the nation in terms of improvement in certificates. And we brought our transfer rate for our students from 30% up to 46%. Now, those aren't just numbers, those are people's lives. This doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's not something where you just do a burst and it happens 1 year. It's happened consistently year after year after year at Truman College. And there is only one way that this happens, and that is through respect and dignity and civility and valuing all the people who make this happen, which is all of you. So if there's one thing that I can convey to you, yes, we've had a lot of results at Truman, and that's great, but that happens because we respect each other, and we expect that of each other. So one thing you can expect from me more than anything else that you hear today is that I value people, I respect them, and treat them with civility and dignity, and hope for the same in return as well. I've had a good time as president and a fun time, and I think that's definitely why. Prior to my time serving as president, I was fortunate to be asked to go to the Middle Eastern nation of Qatar and open its very first community college. Now, this was meaningful to me. I didn't hesitate to say yes to this because I got to help women go to college. That was very meaningful to me. To a nation that had had very few women have an opportunity to go to college, to now an open community college, the first in the nation for women to go to college, I loved it. I would have stayed longer, but the war started and that became a serious concern over there. Very, very frightening indeed. But now that's over, thankfully, for everyone. So that was a wonderful experience. Prior to that, I worked as a vice president at both Moreno Valley College, where we got the college accredited as the 111th college in California, and Los Angeles City College. So I am a Californian, and it would be awfully wonderful to come home and show the Southwestern students that you can start here and you can go anywhere, including the president's office if you want to. And if that's not your dream, that's okay. You can go anywhere if you start here. So why do I think that I should be the person that's chosen to lead Southwestern College? For all of the reasons that I stated before, but the challenges that Southwestern faces now, I have not only experienced doing them, but doing them successfully. So I can jump in on day one, take the ball, and run. There's not a learning curve. So, for example, accreditation. Now, I know that you've done a wonderful job and the accreditation is looking really good, but there will be future accreditations where we need to make sure that we maintain all of the progress that we've made, and so that future accreditations are successful. I've served on accreditation visiting teams. I've also helped the president, when I worked as a VP at Moreno Valley College, become accredited as its own college, and done a self-study and visits soup to nuts. I've also taken a college that had 46 recommendations down to 0. So lots of experience on the accreditation front. That's a lot of sweat, isn't it? It doesn't happen without a team doing it. Also, you're also facing challenges with diversity and making sure that morale is high, making sure that diverse cultures are respected, feel welcome. We've got issues now with the president-elect in terms of the DACA students. I have a lot of experience at Truman College in particular healing wounds that come from diversity issues. We have over 10,000 students, many of whom are undocumented, and that we need to help, and we've been successful in helping, and I know there's a question that may potentially come up with that. Also, have experience in handling budget challenges. When I worked at Santa Monica College, there were over 30 financial recommendations that we got down to 0 recommendations and provided them with a strong, healthy fund balance that was transparent to the unions, transparent to the employees, and want to be able to do that here as well. In Illinois, we're very challenged lately. We have not had a state budget in a year and a half. And I've been able to lead the college with 0 layoffs. 0 layoffs in my entire tenure there. And that's simply understanding how to use the money, how to use the budget to its best advantage, using money as a tool to get things done. So it shows that you can achieve student success, high morale of the employees and the people that work for the organization while still having budget challenges. Also, the exciting challenge that you have is the $400 million bond that you just passed. Congratulations. That's very exciting. I have experience building so many buildings. I've built a lot of the buildings that you are going to build. So I've also headed construction and built a child development center, a science center, a library, a parking structure, liberal arts building, administrative building. So I've built a lot of the buildings that you're about to build, and I know the process to do that, both from the construction angle and from the employee input angle. It's important that these buildings be shaped the way you can teach in them and the way the students want to learn in them. So I think that's the things that you are looking to do over the next few years, or the next 10 years, hopefully, that I am bringing solid experience to do that, plus a passion to give back to the place that gave me my start.
Thank you, Dr. Romali. Thank you for that. So we have our questions, okay? You already touched on this a bit, so you might want to expand, but why do you want to lead Southwestern? What is your vision for Southwestern College and the surrounding community? And what qualities make you uniquely qualified for this position?
Okay, I may have you run those after I do the first one. Why do I want to be the president of Southwestern? That's easy. This is where I got my start. I taught basic bookkeeping here 20 years ago when I didn't have a bed to sleep on and not very much food to eat. And I had a wonderful time doing it. You guys gave me my start. That's more than a job application to me, as I had told some people. That's stuff that sticks in your heart. Where you get your start. I'm very thankful to the students and the people here, Dr. Thiele and all the faculty who were so kind to me then. I never forgot Southwestern. And so when it came time in my life to think about what my future held, and I found out Southwestern was open and I could apply for this position as a way to give back and lead the college that had given me my start, it was an absolute no-brainer. To come home and lead this college would be my greatest honor. So there's a lot of love for where I got my start, and a thank you. And to be inspirational to students and show that you can start here, and the ceiling, you're not bounded by a ceiling. You can go anywhere. You can start here and dream of the president's office. You can dream of whatever it is you want to dream of, and you can get your start here at Southwestern. What was the second question?
Turn my mic on. Your vision?
Oh, yes. My vision, it's hard to say exactly what my vision is because every college is a little bit different, and it's important for me to come in and get to know you and for you to get to know me, and we develop that vision together. So I can't give you what my specific vision is. However, I can give you some of the tenets that will be in that vision. The first and foremost thing that I will address is trust, morale, respect, collegiality, getting along with a sense of reasonableness and decency, because nothing happens without that. So the first thing to do is to quickly get to know each and every one of you, each of your groups, each of your constituencies, your departments. What's important to you? What do you value? What do you value about the college? What are you willing to give to the college? What do you want the college to give to you? and be able to put that together very quickly, under 100 days, and start that relationship building and start healing. Any institution has wounds of any kind, to start working on that and making sure that everybody understands that with Romali in the house, you each have a seat at the table. I say that because the best compliment that ever got given to me, and I take this to heart whenever I'm having a blue day, is somebody said to me, at the House of Romali, everybody has a seat at the table. And I was so honored, and I remember that when I have a bad day. So to quickly get us there and to understand that whatever we face, we're going to do it together in a semblance of respect is very important. So whatever our goals are, that's going to be the core of it. The next thing that we will want to do is we will somehow structure how we're going to attack student success. Are we going to attack it with transfer, with pathways, with CTE, with liberal arts? Are we going to up our career programming? How are we going to do that? What does that look like for this college? And so we're going to take a look at that, and how can we structure that? We're also going to take a look at the $400 million worth of buildings. How can we build those to teach the skills of the future? What does our community need? What do the businesses in our community need to be able to employ our students at good paying jobs when they leave here? Make sure that we're teaching that programming. Also, we're going to want to put sustainability into our accreditation practices and our budget practices so that our planning becomes seamlessly out of our SLOs and our program review, so that the budget and planning are very linked for the future and make it really seamless. What that will look like, I don't know till we get here and determine what that should look like for the college, but those are the things that we're going to want to look at. Sorry, I'm losing my voice today.
Thank you, Dr. Romali. Next question. What does shared governance mean to you? What does transparency mean to you? And can you describe how you have put these ideals into action at previous college assignments? And what do you plan to do here?
Yes, shared governance, I was telling someone earlier that I don't make all the decisions at the college, you do. And I'm a firm believer in shared governance, and that's not just words, it's through actions. For example, at Truman College, we're the only one that has a full shared governance governing body. I created a shared governance governing body where all the representatives of all the constituencies are on there, including the students, and they meet and then come with recommendations. We also, in terms of shared governance, it's important not to hear just from the shared governance body. I also need to hear from the faculty senate and the unions. So I meet monthly with the union representatives so we can sort through any issues that might be on the table. I also meet monthly with the faculty senate leadership and have invited their representative to actually sit on my senior staff, except for when there's personnel issues being discussed, that they can come and sit on the senior staff and be a part of the decision making and taken into the consideration in terms of everything that's happening. And I do expect to expand that over the coming year, although hopefully I won't be there, but hopefully I'll be here. But it's just really important, and I'm always out. I keep telling people I'm not an Oval Office kind of president. You'll see me around the campus, walking around, talking to you, finding out what do you want, what can I do for you. Let me give you an example of that in terms of transparency. Transparency means you can see everything you want to see. Now, you might not want to see the mess in my purse, but because I was traveling yesterday, but you can see anything. There's nothing that I'm not going to show you, unless I absolutely can't. If it's a personnel matter, a legal matter, of course not. But I'll also explain to you why I can't. But 9 times out of 10, I can show you and be transparent about whatever's going on, what money is being spent. For example, when I worked at Santa Monica College, the union leaders came to me and they did not believe the numbers that were being given to them in terms of budget projections. And of course, with the president's knowledge, I said, let's lay it out. What do you want to know? And they said, we don't believe that spending in this area is accurate. I said, let me show you all the spending in that area. I pulled out purchase orders, literally pulled out purchase orders and showed them, hey, this was what was bought with the money. Got down to that level of detail so they could actually see not only a budget report, but the actual purchase orders that backed up those numbers. And guess what happened? They said, oh, okay, that makes sense. We just didn't know. No one explained it to us. So it's taking the care and taking the time to explain things as deep as it needs to be explained so that you have a fair understanding of what goes into the numbers so that you can trust the numbers. So that kind of transparency, if it becomes necessary, I don't have any problem whatsoever getting to that point because it helps develop the trust in the relationship. So that's my belief in transparency. I think, was there a tack-on question?
The last part was, what did you plan to do here?
Oh, just absolutely the same. Whatever, there's no question that's off the table. Ask me anything. Whatever you want to know, I will tell you. If I can't tell you, I'll tell you that I can't and what the reason why is. When I was I'm still at Truman College, they understand, they come and ask me anything. And 9 times out of 10, I can answer their question, and I'll explain why things are a certain way. Many times, people don't know about various regulations or various legal issues, or the federal government has this requirement. And I help explain to them that. And it develops trust, and it's why we have a great trusting relationship there. And I find that lately, over the past 2 or 3 years I just don't get as many questions because the trust is developed. And so it's just there. When it's there, it's there. It's a really great feeling. We have wonderful people.
Thank you for that. Our next question. Given the national hot issue of race relations, what would you, as the new superintendent president, do to help foster a more inclusive environment that promotes and fosters cultural competency?
This is, I'm very passionate about this. This is right in my breadbasket. I've lived overseas. I'm also getting ready to adopt a disabled child from overseas. So I get the title of mom, which, as much as I want to be your superintendent president, mom is just as good to me. So that's a great title. So I'm lucky to have lived overseas and been able to learn and understand that no matter where you come from, we are all the same. We might have a different person that we praise. We might have different customs. We might see the world differently, but we are all the same. We all have the same hopes and dreams for our life. So what happened when I came to Truman College, there were diversity issues. Specifically, the Muslim students had not been integrated well into the college environment. The African students had not been integrated well into the environment, and there were challenges. What we did, I was lucky in that I had lived overseas in the Middle East. So the first thing I did is I went and hung out in the Student Activity Center for the day. And I got to talking to some Muslim students. I was lucky, I was explaining to the faculty members, I was lucky that it happened to be during Ramadan. And so we were talking about ideas where people could get a better understanding of the Muslim population and understand that there was nothing to fear. And so we decided to have an iftar dinner and explain to them and train the students on coming to the iftar and understanding what it was all about, and it was a big success. So then things just sort of literally blew up from there. We all of a sudden had a Muslim Students Association, and we put on lots of events that dealt with food and music and culture and understanding the religion. We had faculty debates that we thought would be very controversial. They were fantastic. The faculty explained about Islam because we have Muslim faculty. And so now the Muslim population in Chicago knows that you go to Truman College to be the most welcomed. And that took just a few years, just from going out. And it's understanding and recognizing, for example, on the Eid celebrations or the Ramadan celebrations, I made sure to call all of the Muslim faculty and wish them a happy Eid Mubarak, and just little things like that. The same thing, we then did it with the African population. We did the exact same thing when we formed an Africans and Friends Student Club. And they put on wonderful dance shows, music shows, and use these as opportunities to educate students on different populations and understand that while the culture might look different, behave differently, we truly are all the same inside. And that's what education is about. That's why we're here. excuse me, to educate the students so that they can be more understanding of different cultures. So we also had problems with our LGBTQ population. Now this is something that I'm particularly proud of as well. We started a diversity and inclusion committee that is very, very active on campus. We have a wonderful faculty leader, wonderful staff leadership, and we've been able to accomplish so much with the committee. For example, we have a huge transgender population, and we decided that we were going to build the district's first transgender, gender-neutral bathrooms, which we did. But it's more than that, in making them feel welcome. We had these bathrooms in each of our buildings. We also, faculty members, provided education sheets and a packet to all faculty members so that they understood how to describe different and address different genders. That's a big deal. It's about, what does it go back to? Showing respect for all people. That's where everything is rooted, in showing respect for all people. We now have a partnership with the Howard Brown LGBTQ Center. We participate in the Pride Parade. We've done tons of education. We now have an LGBTQ club. So they're now a very welcome, and where do you go? If you live in Chicago, you go to Truman if you're in the LGBT community. So it's our goal to get out there and actively recruit students of particular cultures or particular groups, bring them, integrate them into the campus, educate the campus, and it's become just such a culturally rich, wonderful place to be. Because of these differences, it gives students a beautiful chance to understand people from different cultures and different ways of life that enriches them so much when they go out into the job market, to be able to have that understanding and to be able to get along better with their peers.
Thank you. There is some water here on the stage
I'm
if you'd
losing my
like to
voice.
take a drink. Then I'll speak slowly while you, okay. Sometimes our most important lessons come from the mistakes we make. What is one mistake you have made while in a position of leadership? What is the most important lesson that you learned from it?
About 6 years ago, I made a terrible mistake. Our district office came down with an edict that a certain group of people, a small group of people, had to reduce their hours by 5 hours a week. And we were to implement this immediately. I was new on the job and hadn't yet learned the lesson to lead through compassion. Yeah, I'd learned it, but not to the extent that I now know it. And I went back to campus and said, okay, we've got to reduce these folks by 5 hours a week. And I forgot the human element. 5 hours a week is a lot of money. That's 20 hours a month. And it upset a lot of people. And they came into my office, many of them crying. One of them's name was Ali. I'll never forget Ali. Ali was from Iran. And with a tear in his eye, he told me about how was he going to buy books for his child who was at the University of Illinois. That story got to me. And I can't even tell you. I will tell you I learned way more than one lesson that day. The first thing I did when I realized that this was wrong, I apologized to them and I said, listen, I'm sorry. I screwed up here. I'm going to fix it. I don't know how I'm going to fix it just yet, but I'm going to fix it. I'm giving you my word. And Ali, you in particular, I'm going to make sure that you're able to pay for your child to get books. So I went back to the rest of the management team, and I learned a lesson that just because it's an edict doesn't mean you have to do it right away, doesn't mean you can't present a different way of doing things to the people who give you those edicts, whether it be the federal government, whoever it gives it to you. You have to lead through compassion. You have to remember the human first. You must. And so what I did is I went back and I said, listen, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to offer you hours during the Christmas break, But I need, since the students won't be here, I'm going to need you to work on these particular projects and get these particular projects for students done. You're going to make up the hours and make that money back. And I will find the budget money to do so. And I took it from my account, the president's office. And Ali, you've told me that you, out of this group, are the only one that is interested in getting a full-time job. I will look for a full-time job for you in the future. And eventually we did find Ali a full-time job, and he's working great now. I said, Ali, I told you I would make it up to you, and I made it up to you. So they were able to make the money back. We then were able to slowly make the cuts in a very reasonable way with full input later on. So it taught me to lead through compassion, to remember that there's a human element in virtually every decision. And so that has to be at the forefront of all my decisions. And just because somebody says it's so does not mean it is so. You can fight back. You can be a champion for people if you remember to lead through compassion. So. And Ali, if he's watching this, we love you.
Thank you, Dr. Romali. So our next question, you touched on it a bit already, but let's see if there's something you'd like to add. Southwestern College is a very diverse community college with a large growing Muslim community.
Oh, yeah.
How will you build upon Southwestern College's legacy of inclusion for diversity, in particular for students who practice their faith? And you did talk about that, but
I'll talk about it even more. You know, I've lived in a Muslim country. One of my closest friends is Muslim. So salam alaikum to all our Muslim friends here who speak Arabic. I do speak a little bit of Arabic, although poorly. You have to bear with me on a little bit of it since I haven't been there in 6 years. But let me tell you about the Muslim population integrating into Truman College. We have a very vibrant. It's more than just integrating it into the students. You have to integrate it into the faculty and the administrators and the staff, because a student needs to be able to look up and see something that he or she can attain. You have to have something to believe in. And when you look up and you see someone who looks like you believe that you can do it too. So I can't just have one race or one culture or one group of choices in my management team or in my faculty or in my staff, because then the students have nothing to aspire to. They have to see what's possible for them. Like a person who starts as an adjunct and becomes a college president, they have to see what's possible. So to that end, I have hired Muslims in my sorry, I lost my train of thought there. My administrative roles, I have a Muslim vice president and I have a Muslim dean. I have hired Muslims in my staff members. I have hired many Muslims in my faculty ranks. And this has provided a wonderful, enriching opportunity for students to be able to see people that they may not have come into contact with before. And so it's not just about integrating them in the student level. It's about integrating people at all levels of the organization to show that you value diversity. Diversity is not something you just talk about. It's something you have to do. You can't just say, I'm going to have a student group and a diversity committee. You have to put them in your management team. You have to put them in your faculty ranks. You have to put them in your classified staff. That is celebrating diversity. That's putting your money where your mouth is. Also, even though I've hired over 75% diversity candidates, I'm still not satisfied. I want more. Particularly, I want more in the disabled. Because I'm getting ready to adopt a disabled child, I want more disabled representation. I do have disabled persons in my management ranks. I want more. So that I've gotten together with the head of the diversity committee at Truman College, who is a faculty member, and said, form a committee and give me recommendations of how I can continue to diversify my faculty classified and management ranks. And they are working on that now, and they're going to be giving me their recommendations. So, celebrating in particular the Muslim community, but that really applies to all communities, because today it might be the Muslim community, tomorrow it's maybe the trans community. It's all about inclusion and respect for all peoples.
thank you, Dr. Romali. Our next question. What are your 3 topic priorities or changes for improving the quality and rigor of teaching and learning at Southwestern College? And please be specific and explain your reasoning for your priorities or changes.
Well, again, I don't want to say I would make any changes without knowing what's going on. So I don't want to come in here and say, oh, I'm going to make this change or I'm going to make that change. That wouldn't be wise of me. It needs to be done in collegial consultation with the faculty, full-time and the adjunct, as well as support staff that support instructional support. But one thing I would want to look at is, do the faculty need any additional professional development? For example, I was teaching basic bookkeeping here on green bar paper. Well, that was 20 years ago. Do we need to have faculty that need to be trained on Peachtree, QuickBooks, all of the new software? Do you have the equipment, the tools, and the education that you need to teach that skill set as of what today's employers need? So that would be one question. Also, are we doing everything that we can to further student success in the classroom? Do you have the right equipment? Do you have the right tools? Have you been provided the right faculty development? Have you been provided the education? Do you have the partners in the community? Are you on an advisory board? Has an advisory board come to say, hey, by the way, in manufacturing, we're using thus and such technology, so it would be helpful in the classroom if you were teaching on this technology, to making sure that we understand what the community needs, because so many times you'll hear, hey, we have jobs, but the students aren't trained on this particular type of equipment, or they're not trained on this particular type of software. So having those kinds of partnerships. Also, I heard today that one of the things that the faculty say they want in the next leader is some help with those SLOs. And so that's certainly something that we're going to need to look at. How do we get the SLOs integrated into systemically, not just for ACC, JC, but systemically? How do we do that in a way that's easy and beneficial? And then how do we make that systemic so that it becomes easy and regular for the faculty? But these are some ideas. There might be 10 other ideas that we have when they're there, but it's important to say that this is all done in collegial consultation with the faculty and those that are affected by the faculty, because they may come and tell you, no, we've got, Reagan, that's not right, we've got these three hot issues. We'll figure out what those hot issues are, and we'll go after them together.
Dr. Romali, we're down to probably about 5 minutes left, so we probably have time for one other question before we get to the final question. Do you have any ideas to engage our college in public-private partnerships to accomplish the mission of our college?
Yes, when I came to Truman, there were not that many relationships with the community. And we got out there and we just reached out to the community to find out, what is it you need from us and what do we need from you? So we've been able to partner with local hospitals, local advocacy agencies, local nursing homes. So it's a matter of finding out what programming we offer, what is in the community that might be beneficial to us, and how we might be able to be beneficial to them, and finding those relationships. For example, in Chicago, we found out that our students could not seamlessly transfer to local universities. And I understand that, I believe I read somewhere that there was no guaranteed admission into the UCs out of Southwestern. So that's definitely an issue here that we're going to need to address. We needed to come up with agreements that if a student took certain classes and achieved a certain GPA, that they would have that guaranteed admission into the University of Illinois systems. And we were able to get those partnerships. So I feel confident that we can get those partnerships too. And it's a matter of our faculty sitting down with their faculty and taking a look at topics and how things move between the institutions and how things articulate, and we can come up with those agreements so that our students have the best benefit for either a job placement or a transfer agreement.
And just this last question, it is similar to the one I just asked, but I'll ask it because someone is here and you might want to elaborate a bit. What ideas do you have regarding marketing Southwest College with local and regional businesses for money and internships?
Yes. Well, we've done that successfully with over 100 partners at Truman College. And we've been able to make over 200 placements of our students in internships and jobs. We have students coming out of Truman who make $65,000 a year. I mean, I made, I think, $10 an hour when I came out of college, so this is very exciting. I get out there and I talk to anyone who could potentially benefit from our programming. Our programming, we have a lot of education, child development, family studies, a lot of liberal arts, and a lot of CTE, auto tech, cosmetology. And we get out and we work with the local businesses trying to find ways where we can have similarity. So we've placed cosmetologists, we've placed auto technicians, we've transferred students. So it's a matter of getting out there and being the cheerleader, being the voice for Southwestern in not only forming relationships with the local businesses, but with local nonprofits, local K-12s, and local universities, so that when the student comes out of here, they have a lot of different options that we're educated about that are available to them. And we've done that at Truman College very successfully.
Okay, now we're down to the final question. Is there anything you would like to share about yourself that we haven't learned from this forum or from interviews recently conducted?
Just something that you need to know about me. I'm a proud mom. I'm getting ready to adopt a 13-year-old boy from China who has cerebral palsy, and that is so amazing to me that to be a mom is just one of the greatest honors. I was adopted, my sister was adopted, so I'm a great champion of the underdog. And giving them opportunities. I think that's what attracted me to community colleges when I started in community colleges 20 years ago. I'm a tremendous, if you haven't picked up on the fact, I am your champion. I am your chief cheerleader, and I'm strong as hell. And I can carry that flag for you, represent you well to the community, and lobby for you where needed. Something that's very important to me is human dignity. These kinds of accomplishments at Truman College don't happen in a vacuum. They happen because we've created an environment where people are valued, where people love to come to work, where they're respected, where they're treated with civility. That comes before absolutely everything, and I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell. None of these things gets accomplished without it. So if we want to be successful as a college, which you already are, and we're going to continue to boost it up even more successfully, we have to take and celebrate what's good, fix anything that might need fixing. I just ask you that I come with an open heart and an open mind to help you and be supportive of you in whatever it is that you think we need to take this institution forward. And I ask from you in return to keep an open heart and an open mind to me and help me do so. And we're going to do this. No, there is nothing here that is insurmountable as long as we're on the same team. So I'm asking for a chance to be your champion and to be your president, superintendent, and to pay forward the start of my career, to come back home and lead the college. It would be truly my greatest honor. And I thank you so much for even just being here today.
Thank you, Dr. Romali. This concludes our forum with you for today. I just want to remind everybody that there are handouts in the back that has Dr. Romali's bio on it, and to please do your evaluation and be sure you submit your comments and your responses. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you please take your seats so that we can get started? I want to welcome you to the Superintendent President Forum. I'm Trenda Best, the Vice President of Human Resources here at Southwestern College, and I will be the moderator this afternoon for our third and final forum of the day. I would like to introduce Dr. Kindred Murillo. Round of applause. Nice. Have a seat right there, just for a few minutes. Yes, right there. Thank you. Dr. Murillo has served as Superintendent President of Lake Tahoe Community College since 2011. In 2014, Dr. Murillo guided the college to a successful $55 million bond measure, and she has focused on a transparent and accountable budget and scheduling for student access and success. She has served as the Vice Chancellor of Administrative Services for Contra Costa Community College District and Vice President of Administrative Services for Pasadena Area Community College District and Copper Mountain Community College. And today, Dr. Murillo is our third and final candidate for the forum, and I just want to share with you what our process is this afternoon. Each of the finalists will be given 50 minutes in which to answer all the possible questions that they can. Each finalist will be asked the same opening question, which is really to give an opening statement, and you'll be provided 5 minutes in which to do that. Next, the audience participation will take place in terms of random selection and drawing of the questions of which will be asked of the candidate. Notice went out to the campus community, asking those that would like to submit questions to potentially be asked today to send those questions in. And we received 52 questions that were reviewed for common themes as well as for assurance of meeting our EEO guidelines. In addition, individuals that are here at this forum that showed up just now or a short while ago, you can fill out a form if you have a question you'd like to have asked and deposit it in our question bin we have over there. Our Vice President Flood is going to be our timekeeper. Wave your hand back there. Okay, to keep us on task. All finalists were provided a compiled list of the questions for their review just after arrival to the forum. At about the 5-minute mark, our timekeeper is going to let us know we have 5 minutes remaining, and our finalists will be able to give their closing statement, and we'll ask a question about that will lead you into that, okay? So if you're ready, we'll get started. Yes, this is your mic, and we have some water here for you as well. Okay, you see?
Is it working?
Very good. Now I don't want to get too close. I'm going to go on that side. You come here in the middle. Okay. All right. There. You're good. Okay, that's fine. You can start with your opening statement about yourself.
Thank you. As you can probably already tell, I'm a walker, and I like to be all over the place. When I was in the classroom, which we didn't talk about a little earlier, I actually really enjoyed being with the students and would walk down the middle of the aisle. So I'm sorry if I do that too much and bother anybody. So I'm honored today to be here as one of your candidates. And I know the question has been asked multiple times, why did you choose Southwestern College to apply? And believe me, when you're putting in an application for superintendent president, you have to really be thoughtful about it. You have to know that you can go to the college and that you can love the college, you can love the students, and you can love the community. A really good college president cares. I really believe that. I have the experience to know that. You probably would find my car in the parking lot right now that says, Love LTCC. I loved LTCC, I still do. I applied here because I believe I can be an advocate and a champion and love you and help make this college realize its potential. You have so many great things going on here. I don't know if you recognize it, because sometimes we so get focused on our problems. We get focused on those things that just, you know, that one little thing, you know, it's like 5% of our day, but somehow we get focused on it. You had a rough time there for a while, but you're on a roll. You're back. You have community support. It was evidenced by your $400 million bond. And so I think that I could be a good leader for you. I could be somebody that comes in here and helps you unleash some of the potential, some of the good things that you're really doing, help you see that and lead that and keep focused on that. That's what I'm about. I never focus on the 5%. I focus on the good things we're doing. And I believe what I bring to you is a lot of experience. 5.5 years as a superintendent president. I worked in a multi-college district in the Bay Area. We had 60,000 students. Very diverse campus. Had a college on show cause. There's nothing at this college that you're dealing with that's not doable, not fixable, and you can't move forward to really a great place. I mean, you are on the forefront, and this is what really interests me about this college. I have been so involved in student equity the last few years at Lake Tahoe Community College because we have a population in Tahoe that a lot of people don't understand and haven't seen before. And what that is a lot of people that came from South America that work in the casinos, in the hotels, and the restaurants. We have focused our efforts on equity, on diversity, on making sure that we represent our community, that we're there for them, that we are opening our doors. And you are doing that. Look what you've done. You've got 2 centers that sit in one location and then the National City Center. So you focused on access. I don't know if you give yourself enough credit for doing some of the things you've actually done. I want to be your champion. I want to be somebody that helps you really, really show what this college can do. What you already are doing. If you go look at your data, if you go look at the things and the students you have here, the transfers, I hear a lot about CTE, you know, why aren't we doing more? And from somebody's perspective like mine, you're really trying to serve this community. And I congratulate you on that. So I look forward to being here with you, helping with that piece. I think that my experience that I bring to the table, because how many people in here are faculty? I was in the classroom, I've been a faculty member. How many are students? I was a community college student. I was one of you that community college helped. And I've sat in that seat. I've worked in student services, I've worked in finance, I've worked in CalWorks, in student services, and I've been a president. And I hope I can bring something to this college that you would like to have here and move you into the future that you really, really deserve. Is that 5 minutes?
That was great. Thank you very much. And so our next question, I think you touched on it maybe just a bit, but you can probably expand on it. What experience do you have with ACCJC sanctions, and how did you address them?
Okay, thank you. Well, I've probably got more experience with ACCJC than actually I really like to talk about. Okay, good. I'm glad I see you're laughing now. Okay, so let's get the energy going that I saw in the committee, because when I met with the committee, you guys had lots of energy. So, ACCJC. I was actually the first accrediting. We wrote the accreditation study at Copper Mountain College. It was a college that divorced Desert Community College District. It was not very pleasant. It was quite ugly. And that was my first experience with ACCJC. We were the rogue guys, okay? They didn't like us. We didn't like anybody. And, but you know what? We did it. We wanted to be a college. We wanted to be on our own. And we wrote that study, and when that team walked away, they gave us a standing ovation. Now, I don't know about you, but since then, I've been on 13 accrediting missions. Because I believe in fixing things you don't quite feel are quite right, okay? One of the things that a lot of us have been trying to do is help make accreditation better. Because we've been on the end of it, like you right now, that doesn't feel very good. And when I walked into Diablo Valley College in August of 2008, at Contra Costa Community College District as a vice chancellor, we were put on show cause. If you want to know Tailspin, go on show cause. That was the best learning experience I've ever had in my life, and it was one of the most miserable times in my life because we had so little time to turn that around, and one of those recommendations fell on me. And was my responsibility. And I gotta tell you, creating an allocation model in a 3-college district of 30,000 FTES in 2 centers is not fun, okay? But we did it. We worked really hard. We got faculty input, we got classified input, we got college input, we got center input. We modeled and modeled and modeled, and it actually went through the District Governance Council unanimously. And we implemented that model in 18 months. That is a really important lesson about staying focused, because there was so many times that accreditation process, because we had all these other recommendations going on, that we could have got derailed. And so important to make sure that you stay on task on that and that you really work together to positively do that. And really don't let the little things get in the way. Don't let the negatives, just stay focused on what you do. At Lake Tahoe, I walked into 5 recommendations. I think it was pretty well put to me that we're not gonna put you on warning, but if you don't deal with these in 6 months, you may have some problems. So I walked in July, had the visit in October, got the recommendations in February. One of those recommendations was to change and redo the whole entire governance process. Okay, how long do you think it takes to do a governance process? Yeah. Well, we did it. We did it. We redid our governance process, implemented it, and put it into place, and we evaluate it every year to make sure it's working. But you know, what it took was working together. And I think that gets to the heart of resolving any accreditation issue, is sitting down, getting faculty classified, managers at the table, and addressing those issues in a very thoughtful manner. And so with that said, I think I've got a lot of experience, and frankly, I get to go to training on Friday.
Okay, thank you. Our next question. How would you plan to maintain crucial student support services during low economic times when budgets can be reduced by a certain percentage? And then in parentheses, processes that do not include grants or one-time money use?
Okay, I'm going to try to make sure I understand the question well. Having been in community colleges when I first was hired in 1996 as a faculty member and student services, I don't think there's only been 5 years in my 20 years in community colleges that we haven't been cutting budgets. I'm serious. I don't know, Bob, if you've had the same experience, but I gotta tell you, it's been mine. And so we're always cutting budgets. So it's always about prioritizing, isn't it? And we prioritize around students. We try not to impact the classroom, and we try not to impact the critical things that get students into the classroom and supported. And what we are really focusing on these days, and which makes me very excited, is student equity and making sure those support services are in place to actually help our students succeed. So how we do that, we have to sit down and we have to prioritize. We have to say what's most important here. What do we do first? What can we do without? What can we actually prioritize and put money toward? I've worked in so many college districts that have a culture that what we try to do is we try to move people around from other areas. One of the things we did at Pasadena City College when we were cutting budgets to shore up some of the areas were to move some classified staff over from other areas into student services to shore up those arenas. We also actually did some of that at Lake Tahoe. We also reorganized. We actually refocused, and I know when you say reorganized, it makes community college people go, ah, I hate that. I hate it too. But sometimes if you've got the student in mind, if you're trying to make student services more focused and easier for them to work with, for our students, it's the right thing to do. And sometimes you can actually come up with some ideas where you combine positions, you move some positions around, and with a little kind of creativity around it, you can make better services for our students without making drastic cuts. You know, when you work, I used to work at a $170 million budget at Contra Costa. That's a little larger than yours. That's what I managed there. When I went to Lake Tahoe, guess what my budget was? About 17 million, okay? All right, yeah. So when you're used to budgets like me, Pasadena City College, 120 million, much like yours. Contra Costa, 170. Do you know what one $50,000 mistake can do to you? I'd rather, yeah, it's much easier to manage a big budget in my book. You have to really look at those things. And as a small district, we have. You almost literally look very seriously at everything you do, every function you have. And you do it in a way that's organized and thoughtful. You don't just make rash decisions. So I'm not going to come out with some, okay, this is what you do. What you do is you work your way through it by using your priorities. And our priorities are student access, student equity, student success, and teaching and learning. And that's how we prioritize.
Thank you. Our next question. What is your definition of collegial consultation, and how would you ensure it is provided?
I love that question. Why do I love that question? My number one quality is I'm inclusive. Anybody taken Strength Finders? Any of the strengths? Okay. My number one strength is inclusivity. I love working in collegial governance. It is something that you really have to have the temperament for, but it's something that comes very naturally to me. And so my definition is around working with people. I don't go in and say, and I've learned this one, by the way, we were just talking about it on the cart today. You don't go in and say, oh, you know, I really think we should do this. You don't do that as a president, and let me tell you why. Anybody guess? Because it will happen. I'm serious. You have to be careful when you take a superintendent president's job. What you have to do is go into the room and go, so what do you guys think about this? Do not say, I think we should, because the next thing you know, our faculty and staff and employees want to work so hard to do the right thing that they'll make sure it happens. I don't want that. Collegial consultation is about asking the question, what's the right thing to do, getting the thoughts, the opinions, working through the process, adhering to the 10+1. I joke with everybody at Tahoe, we have 10+3. So, and it's true, we do. And I look at that, and I make sure that everything that we do at the college, if it falls within that 10+3, that it goes to our academic senate. Our Institutional Effectiveness Council sees almost everything that goes to our governing board. And they give input, and they give honest conversation. So I think it's a process one that I love. I think it's something I work very well in and adhere to it pretty nicely because I really believe, in my heart of hearts, we make better decisions together. It's better when you got more minds than when you've got less.
Okay, thank you. So given the current emphasis on FTES production and management and not on student success, what are your plans to steer the college back towards improving our student success rate?
Okay, well, I think what I'm hearing in that question is there is an emphasis on productivity, and because I'm in a different mode. That's a mindset for me that quite doesn't, I don't work that way. So I'm gonna...
This is a question that was submitted, so.
Yeah, okay, I'm just trying to... So let me kind of put it in this format. Productivity is a piece of the puzzle, okay? Student success is the most important piece. And one of the things we know about productivity is it allows us to have more discretionary dollars, which means that we can help with other things, which I've learned in California community colleges. So the thing that you try to do is balance what's good for the student in the classroom, for the faculty member in the classroom, and making sure that you can afford to do what you do. Now, I have 11 years in finance, so I know that pretty well. What I love is balancing the idea that if you have a reasonably decent productivity and a true focus on scheduling for student success, then you've really got it right. It can't be one way or the other. You can't give up one for the other. Because if you have a decent productivity, then you have more money. And you're not spending as much serving the same amount of students. And you can focus that to the other question that was asked earlier about student services or other priorities of the institution that need to be dealt with. The most important piece that we do, and I know we've been grappling with this very heavily at our college, is how do we schedule for student success? How do we streamline our pathways, give our students a clean path through the college, and help them get through. If they want to get through that college in 2 years, how do we do it successfully? And I think if we think of it in that term, it works. If you think of it being mutually exclusive, that's why my brain doesn't wrap around that one.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Our next question. Please tell us about a colleague with whom you got along well. Include in your response, why do you think your working relationship was so successful?
Well, I can think of somebody right off the get-go, and it really kind of gets to the philosophy of why it works so well. You know, there are people in your life that you meet and you connect with automatically, right? Your best friends, and there are other people that it's hard to get along with, right? Okay. And why is that? So this person I'm thinking about is somebody that thinks totally different than I do. Absolutely totally different. But yet, when I met them, I knew I wanted to know them. I wanted to know them better because they brought and challenged my way of thinking in a way that was really important to me. And I think it was because we both approached that relationship because I totally made her nuts. Okay? I'm serious. She can take a sentence and make it a page. I can take a page and make a paragraph. Okay? And it was that connecting piece of really listening to each other, respecting each other in a way that looked at what was good about the other person. And that is somebody I will take with me everywhere I go. Everywhere. It's somebody that I value very much and is a colleague of mine. And frankly, is a former boss of mine.
Thank you. Our next question. The Black Lives Matter movement has made a point of providing opportunities for engagement. What experience do you have in working with BLM?
Well, I really don't have a lot of experience with Black Lives Matter because South Lake Tahoe does not have a group there at this moment. And if you know anything about South Lake Tahoe, it's not very diverse in the African American area. Now, where do I have my experience? I have experience at Contra Costa Community College District, and that is a very diverse college district, and in particular Contra Costa College. I worked very closely with the NAACP during my time there over resolving a pretty significant issue on the campus. And I think we actually came to a great resolution, one that I believe influenced some training on the whole college district that helped with the whole relationship on the campuses. So having had that experience, and again at Pasadena City College, another diverse college, one that I would call a plurality, we actually had significant problems in various areas that I've had experience in resolving some of the issues there. Issues that I can't put out in a forum, but I can tell you that I've had the experience in working with those kinds of relationships. So no on Black Lives Matter, but yes on dealing with a lot of the racial issues.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next question, and you talked about this a little bit, so you may want to expand. Why do you want to lead Southwestern? What is your vision for Southwestern College and the surrounding community? And what qualities make you uniquely qualified for this position?
Well, I think I've hit quite a few of those, but let me kind of reiterate that a little bit. And let's go to vision first. You have a mission and vision. I'm not going to come in here and tell you what my vision of you will be. I think vision is something you develop in a shared way. When you have a group of people that are as smart as you are, and that's why you're hired as faculty and classifieds and managers in community college, because you're smart, because you're critical thinkers, because you're people that believe in what you do. And to have somebody come in and say, oh, this is my vision for you, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think my job is to help realize the vision that you have put in place. Just recently, your mission, I got a copy of it and I have it in my folder, is to help you do that, if it's a shared vision. And that's always the thing that I like to make sure I ensure is, was this the vision of the college? But here's what I like about you that I think is something that we can continue to work on really hard. That's your diversity. Your community is the most diverse community probably of any in California. You are ground zero for equity. If there's ever an opportunity to excel at something, this is it. And you are poised to do that. Think about it. California is going to be a plurality, majority-minority population in the next 10 years. You already are. Your community already is. What a great place to be in the forefront of the future. It's solving the problems. You're doing really well on the achievement gap. I believe that the only way that we can say we're succeeding with our students, and I believe this profoundly, is if we can close the achievement gap. Why? Because if you look at the majority of California is going to be Hispanic, and we can't close that Hispanic, white, Asian, Hispanic achievement gap, we have an economic and social problem. And you are the people that can lead it. You have the systems in place to do that. You have the faculty, the staff, the institution, the community support to do that. Who wouldn't want to lead this? I mean, really, it's like a phenomenal opportunity to actually do something that could lead California, the rest of the colleges in California, into the future that will eventually be moving with you. So I think it's a profound opportunity to lead this institution because of where you are, what you've been doing, your community support, which is incredible, by the way. That bond, I'm still amazed. I watched it on the poll night going, wow, what support. So I think I'm a good person to bring that forward because I'm inclusive, I have bond experience, I'm incredibly transparent, and that's the kind of person I believe you need right now.
Thank you. Dr. Murillo, this question I'm going to ask, you did touch on it a little earlier, but it has a little different part on the end of it that you might be able to expand more on. We all spend so much time at work and have built many friendships throughout the years. Please tell us about a time when you worked with a friend or with a coworker who became a friend. What did you do to ensure that the friendship and college interests were honored during any time of conflict?
Oh, I just got to that question when they gave me about 10 minutes to look at the questions. And I was like, okay, how do you deal with that one? Okay, that's a really, really, really good question. So, I'm going to share it, okay? And I know we're being televised, and the poor person at the brunt of this is sitting in the back of the room. So, that's my husband back there, Michael Murillo. He hired me. Yeah. How do you like that one? Hey, let's be honest, okay? It's all public record. It is. I worked for Copper Mountain College. I was hired at Desert Community College District as a faculty member. He was the person who hired me to teach classes. He didn't like me, and I didn't like him. It was all over a pair of earrings. And I have to have the levity about this. You can't even imagine. So I told you Copper Mountain and Desert separated, literally. So what they did after they got the accreditation, they actually went out and applied and had everybody apply for jobs, like the VPs and all that. Michael was a dean at the college at the time. No, division chair. I was working in the fiscal services office. Duly noted that we had started dating and all that stuff and had gotten married eventually, on down the line. Did all the right things, even though he hired me. When we decided to start dating, I went to the president and let him know so that I could be moved to another supervisor, which is the right thing to do, right? And I did. But in this process, this is hard to talk about because it almost cost us our marriage. We both applied for positions, thinking there was no way anybody in their right mind would put us both in the positions. They did. I was the vice president of business, he was the vice president of instruction. The rule had to be, we do not talk about the college the minute we cross our property line. I'm serious. It was difficult because we both had such strong ethics about what we did. I'm a very ethical person around business. You don't mess with it. You have to, there are just some things you have to do according. And he was an advocate for faculty and making sure that everything was perfect, beat me to a pulp over a nursing program and a remodel of a nursing lab. It was brutal. But I'll tell you what we did that was the most important thing. We adhered to our ethics. And I'm proud of that. I eventually left the college district because I wanted to move on, and I honestly felt that it was important to not work closely with your spouse anymore because we kind of decided at some point along the way that we liked each other and we wanted to stay married. But it's too hard on a relationship to be too close in a job. And I think the relationships I've seen along the way that work at that, you have to keep the jobs separate. You never can let the job be something that you allow to influence your personal relationship, and you can't let your personal relationship influence the job. That's the part that absolutely has to happen. You cannot say to a person, oh, I'm not going to do this because I'm related to you. If anything, the poor man had to adhere to stronger rules because everything he did, I was making sure I could, I actually would take stuff in that would come through my office with his name on it, and if I even thought there was a conflict of interest, I'd take it over to the president. And I'd say, here, sign off on it. I feel like this is a conflict of interest. So I feel like I learned a lot about conflict of interest in that relationship. At Copper Mountain with Jim Pulliam as the president, Michael as my husband, and later on he retired as I went up north, and that was part of the deal, was he would be retired and I could do what I love, which is serving students.
Thank you for sharing that. Our last question, I think, before our final question, Tim? Okay. What ideas do you have regarding marketing Southwestern College with local and regional businesses for money and internships?
Oh, I love internships. Yes. What ideas do I have? I think, and I don't know how much you've worked with these entities to create partnerships, so I don't want to step on any toes in the audience, but I really think partnerships have to be nurtured. They have to be really, really nurtured. You have to create a trust with agencies. You can't say, oh, we're going to do this, and then not turn around and do it. So I think that's nurturing those relationships and trust around internships. I also think apprenticeships are another area that businesses so need right now, and this is such a great opportunity to do those kinds of things. I know we're doing that where I work. We have what we did was we combined our adult education with a CTE focus at Lake Tahoe Community College, and our consortia has such active partners. It's amazing. All the businesses that are involved at the table, they are at the table actively engaged. And we're trying to make sure that we build a quality program that we are moving out into the hospitality, tourism, recreation, and retail area. I think it's around getting people around the table, getting what they need heard, and then putting people in place. One of the things we've done is we've upped our internship program and our work experience program significantly. That has been something that has worked really well. I don't know how much you've worked with that. And then incorporating in the my brain's leaving me, the Stay Focused Dual Enrollment Project. I think we have done some great work in that arena. So I think it's about building those pieces, building in the relationship, finding out what they need. One of the things I keep finding from employers is, you're not giving us what we need. And I think you have to have that conversation instead of thinking we know what they need, but making sure, and I don't know if you've been having them. So I don't want to step on any toes, but I think that has to be a focus when you're trying to do internships. Because I know we've had a lot more success with it, and I know when I was working at Contra Costa that working with the unions and the businesses on apprenticeships really fostered a good relationship, and it allowed us to do some things that worked out really, really well. So that's the best I can give you at this moment, knowing what you've done.
We're just trying to get it fixed on the time so that I know. Okay, so one final question before our final question. What do you plan to implement and/or change for the betterment of the district, and how will you follow through should the governing board not agree with your implementations or ideas?
That's a loaded question. Okay. So, I have to have a good sense of humor on this one. And so first off, I try never to put anything in front of a governing board that I don't feel comfortable with, that I really educated them on. I just feel like no surprises is the way to go. You know, you don't, when I do something with our board, we just did a partnership that I thought was going to cost me my job and my sanity in the process, but we actually had that project in front of our board probably 5 times by the time we got done, because we did not want them to feel like there was anything in that project that they didn't know. So when we actually took action on it, there wasn't any questions because we had worked on it. So I think I'm taking that first because I think it's so important that the college president is the conduit for making sure there's a connection between what the college is doing and the board. You are that conduit. You are the one that helps bring it all together and move it through in a way that you aren't surprised and they aren't surprised, okay? That's what you want. That's the ideal situation. But let me tell you, that takes a lot of work. So what do I think has to happen first? Build trust. And I think that has to be done through very, very strong transparency, working with the faculty and staff. I think you have done a lot of work around that. I think you are working on it, but you would have a new president coming in, so who says you should trust me, right? I don't know about you. I don't trust anybody that quick, right? No? I actually do. I trust first. And then if I can't trust you anymore, then I learn not to trust you. But colleges don't work that way. Colleges distrust first, and you have to earn trust. So the first thing I would do is work to earn your trust. And that's through being very transparent. That's through making sure that everything that I'm thinking, doing, listening to is out there for your understanding. Again, I value governance processes, so I work through governance processes. And so I would do that and honor that. That builds trust. It builds communication. Specific initiatives, the things that I want to make sure get done for you is I really want to see you get your bond programs off. You know, you've got the one finishing up, making sure your bond goes out into the community well, that you get some of those projects done that will improve your classrooms. Where our students are, okay? You've got some projects, and there's nothing worse than having bond money sit on the table. It ruins community trust, it ruins your trust, and so making sure those kinds of things get done. That is something I know that you absolutely have to really get in and make sure gets done. I think dealing with some of the list of things that you have, what I've told the groups I've met with, what I told the initial committee was I would spend my first few months doing nothing but listening. Because I need to understand what needs to be done from you, from the board, meeting with the board, meeting with the community. I need to understand what's working well here so that I don't mess up anything that you're doing really well. I think that's really important. I learned that at Pasadena City College. Honor the past and only fix what needs to be fixed. And then, somewhere, maybe 3 to 6 months, I think I could come to you and the board and say, okay, these are the things that I really think I absolutely have to focus priority on. But that would be an educated priority. Right now, all I have to go by is various conversations, lots of documents, strategic plan, which is very clear to me. I mean, it's, access, success, teaching and learning, making sure your facilities are done, transparency, accountability, and all the things you asked for in that job description. So lots of things. I hope actually you find somebody that lives up to all that. That would be wonderful because you guys, but you deserve it. And thank you again for allowing me to be here because this is my closing. No, I get one more? Okay. That's okay if I've got something else.
Okay, here it is. This is the final question.
This is final.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to share about yourself that we haven't learned from this forum or from the interviews recently conducted?
I think you got to boy, for me to tell the story about Michael and I think you got there. Sorry, I don't tell that story very often, but here's one thing I will say to you that's kind of funny. When I left my initial interview with you, you know, you go through a lot of trepidation when you're applying for a superintendent president. You know, I don't apply for every job out there. I think about it. You know, it's like, okay, am I a good match? Can I work here? Is this good? You know, and when I decided to put in here, and I had some conversation with your consultant, I really decided, okay, I've got to go in there, and I don't know enough about this college because I'm not around you. I'm in Northern California in the Sierras, like past the Granite Curtain. And I'm serious, that's what they call it, the Granite Curtain. There's California, and there's Tahoe. So with that said, when I met with the interview committee, I was just taken back. I actually went back and wrote my leadership team a note about purpose and how I felt, because you wrote really good questions. They were thoughtful, and you were honest. You were honest about what you thought needed to be fixed on the campus in that interview. And there was so much energy in that interview committee that I was sitting in there working on my question, my written question, and the noise was profound. What we deal with in our classrooms all the time, right? But it was a nice feeling, you know, and I told my leadership team, if it ever reminds you about a sense of purpose, I felt that when I was with that committee. I felt that purpose of what we do in community college. There's a college district that needs a leader that has my skill set. And I was right to interview for this job because it was the right place to be at the time. And I wish you tons and tons of luck in the future with this, whether it's me or not me. You have so much potential to move this college into such a wonderful place. And I hope that you will do that and really make yourselves extremely proud of all the things you do for this community, because you have a great community, one that deserves a great community college. So I share that with you. It was fun to do that because my team came back and they go, yeah, that's you. You're always focused on the student and what we can do, but that's what we do. And that's who we are. So thank you again. Appreciate being here with you today, and good luck.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Murillo.